Hey, I'm Jamie Franks. I wanted to make this quick video just talking about quality and how you can determine what is a good quality part in today's AR market. So I'm just going to show you a couple of little things that I look for. The handguard that you're looking at right now, I've covered up the branding on it because I don't want to seem like I'm shit talking anybody's products, but I was given this handguard to try out and it looks nice. It's light, it's low profile on the surface. Everything seems to be fine. This mounting system, it has a barrel nut that requires the barrel nut to be timed to make these holes in the handguard line up with the holes in the barrel nut. So just a couple things with that. You run into this situation where you're either under torquing or over torquing the barrel nut. You can tighten the barrel nut down and line up the holes and it may be under torque. But then to get the next set of holes to line up, you have to really severely over torque it. So that's a flaw in the system. With this particular handguard, the screws in the barrel nut are made out of two different types of steel. So the screws are much harder than the barrel nut steel. So this handguard came with no instructions. It's pretty self-explanatory how it's supposed to go on here and how it's supposed to work, but it had no instructions. So I just had to guess at what I thought was tight enough, and I ended up dripping out a couple of the holes on the barrel nut side of this handguard. After that, I felt like I really couldn't trust this handguard anymore, and I'm just gonna go ahead and pull it off and not use it anymore. But I'm gonna replace it with a Samson handguard. Again, I'm not trying to sell you anything, but I am gonna point out a few things and show you why Samson handguards are probably my #1 favorite go-to brand of handguard. I've always said Samson products they're like a Jeep. They're very strong, they're very reliable, they'll get the job done. But let me show you a couple of things. So, first of all, I mentioned this barrel nut had no torque spec, requires it to be timed. These screws had no torque spec. In the Samson instructions, every single thing just has a torque spec. So 30 to 80 foot-pounds on the barrel nut. And the barrel nut doesn't need to be timed. You just torque it to spec and you're done. The screws on the bottom of the handguard, 60 inch-pounds. Again, you torque it to spec and it's done. There's no guesswork and there's no risk of over-tightening and damaging your product. It eliminates the guesswork. All you have to do is follow the instructions. A couple other things. So a lot of companies, they'll just design their handguard and they'll just cut these Picatinny rail slots on the top of the handguard. And again, this handguard is straight and pretty level, and even with my upper receiver, this is a Lantac upper receiver, so I know it's good to go. But show you something. If you line up this Samson handguard, let me try to line it up exactly here so you can see it. You'll notice that the rail slots on the Samson handguard don't exactly match up with the slots on this other handguard here, and that's because Samson does make all of their products to the NATO specification. This handguard, the slots, if you just took the handguard by itself, the slots are the appropriate distance apart. I'm going to use a Warne scope mount to illustrate my point. So the slots just on the handguard are the right distance apart, and so I could mount this scope mount on the handguard, no problem. The problem comes in if I want to mount the scope in a position where it needs to span the top of the upper receiver into the handguard. Well, now you can see it doesn't line up anymore and it won't work. It's because just the handguard by itself was made to whatever specification, but it doesn't take into account the specification of the upper receiver, which the Samson one does. So again, when I line this up and you can see how the Samson one is a little bit off of this other handguard, it's because when the Samson handguard is mounted to this upper receiver, I will be able to mount this scope mount in such a way where it can span the top of the upper receiver into the handguard and it'll line up and it'll mount just perfect. So these are little things that you can look for. Again, buying parts that have a torque spec, that have one way to install it and that's it. Things like this, you're really risking damaging your upper receiver. You're risking damaging the product you probably just bought because there's no torque spec and there's a lot of guesswork. And there's a few different ways you possibly could do this and damage the part or whatever. Again, a telltale sign is whether or not the handguard is to the actual NATO specification or not, and just little things like that. But the biggest takeaway here is just buy good products, buy quality products from the get-go, and you won't have any problems. You know, I was given this one to test it out. I'm not gonna give very favorable feedback on this handguard, unfortunately. But yeah, just keep those things in mind when you're shopping for products in today's AR market. It's a jungle out there. Thanks for watching. Quick little bonus feature right here. The Samson handguard is installed, so I just wanted to show you guys what I was talking about before in case you didn't understand. So here is the upper receiver. This is the handguard. Here's a Warne Tactical Scope Mount, which is also a high quality product. But now you can see if I wanted to mount the scope in a position where the scope mount had to span both the upper receiver and the handguard, it will now fit, because this is a quality handguard and it is to spec, and this is a Warne Tactical Scope Mount that is to spec, and a Lantac upper receiver that is to spec. So this is just letting you guys know, buy quality parts, buy quality parts, buy quality parts, buy quality parts. So that's it. I just wanted to show you what I was talking about so you didn't think I was crazy. I'm Jamie Franks still, and thanks for watching.